right, let's go ahead and move on to the next part. As you remember from our last lesson, we would fill that exercise in. And again, I would recommend the first thing you do is to get the feet going and then be able to play it on the snare drum comfortably. But what I want to show you is a way in which you can use it to move around the toms on the drum set. And to me, this is an important skill to develop because I find a lot of drummers get locked in with their drum fills and they really always travel in the same direction. They always travel down the drums. How many times have you heard this? Right? Drum fill 101. I always go in that direction. Even when I hear some of the more advanced players play, it's still the same kind of motion, always kind of down the drums. And I want us to explore being able to go down the drums, up the drums, anywhere that we want. So let's take a look at this exercise that we're playing, the 8-on-8 hand exercise, filled in, and explore some of those concepts. The first pattern, if you remember, was this. 1 hand, 2 hand, 4 hand, 1 hand, 2 hand. So when I go to apply that to the toms, this is what I want to do. I want to start on the snare drum and go down to the floor tom. Then when I get to the floor tom and I start with my left hand, come back up. It would sound like this. 1, 2, ready, play. Right? The reason that I've chosen that pattern is because when I'm moving with my right hand, I want to move in a direction in which I don't have any awkward crossover. So for example, if on the floor time, I started with my right hand instead of my left hand, this would happen. And I have this kind of crossover, which is doable for sure, but it's harder than just this. Starting with my left hand and allowing that space to open up. So with my right hand, I'm traveling kind of towards the right, and with my left hand, I'm traveling kind of towards the left. With the foot ostinato, that would sound like this. 1. So now if you feel comfortable with that, let's look at the twos of the exercise. Here with the twos, I like to use a triangle type formation. What I mean by that is we're going to start on the snare drum, go from the snare drum to the second tom to the first tom back to the snare drum. It would sound like this. 1, 2, ready, go. I'll do that again. 1, 2, and go. We're going to take that same idea and we're going to move it from these 3 drums down to these 3 drums. We're going to shift it over. So snare drum to floor tom to second tom back to snare drum. That would sound like this. 1, 2, ready, go. Do that again. 2 and 1. All right. So if we put that together for the twos with the foot ostinato. Again, focusing on what directions I'm moving, making sure that my hands don't have any awkward crossovers. So that way, as I go to play it faster, nothing's getting in the way. I'll do that same thing. Cool. Now, as we get to the ones of the exercise, which if you remember was just this, I just want to travel down the toms, so then start on the floor tom and travel back up. So it would sound like this. 1, 2, ready, go. Do that again. 1, 2, ready, play. Cool. So let's start from the beginning with our feet going and put that entire pattern together. This is just one of a million different examples that you could come up with on your own as how to take this exercise and apply it to the drums in a manner which helps you branch out from something that's maybe not so comfortable to you, leading with your left hand around the drums. Cool, here we go. The entire exercise with the bass drum ostinato. 1. Everyone. So in closing, again, remember, if you ever have any questions or any answers, feel free to contact me at drummingwithdoug@gmail.com, and I'll get to it as soon as I possibly can. I really appreciate you checking out these video lessons for me, and I hope to just branch this out into a really, really awesome network in which maybe we can get guest artists involved and have other people showing ideas and stuff, and it should be really, really cool. But before we get too long down this path of drumming awesomeness, there's a very important concept that I must make you aware of before your next lesson. And check that out. When you practice, it equals happy face. Everyone's happy. Everyone's having a good time. When you no practice, it equals poopy pants. Look at this guy right here. He's not happy because he didn't practice. And then when he showed up at the gig, all his drum fills sounded like everyone else's drum fills. But if you go back and you practice, good job.